Monday of the 7th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the letter of St. James. Beloved, who among you is wise and understanding? Let him show his works by a good life in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. Wisdom of this kind does not come down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there is disorder and every foul practice. But the wisdom from above is first of all pure, then peaceable, gentle, compliant, full of mercy and good fruits, without inconstancy or insincerity. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace for those who cultivate peace. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, "The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart." The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The decree of the Lord is trustworthy, giving wisdom to the simple. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The command of the Lord is clear, enlightening the eye. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The ordinances of the Lord are true, all of them just. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart. Let the words of my mouth and the thought of my heart find favor before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. The precepts of the Lord give joy to the heart.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. As Jesus came down from the mountain with Peter, James, and John, and approached the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them and the scribes arguing with them. Immediately on seeing him, the whole crowd was utterly amazed. They ran up to him and greeted him. He asked them, "What are you arguing about with them?" Someone from the crowd answered him, "Teacher, I have brought to you my son, possessed by a mute spirit. Wherever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth, grinds his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive it out, but they were unable to do so." He said to them in reply, "O faithless generation, how long will I be with you? How long will I endure you? Bring him to me." They brought the boy to him, and when he saw him, the spirit immediately threw the boy into convulsions. As he fell to the ground, he began to roll around and foam at the mouth. Then he questioned his father. "How long has this been happening to him?" He replied, "Since childhood. It has often thrown him into fire and into water to kill him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." Jesus said to him, "If you can, everything is possible to one who has faith." Then the boy's father cried out, "I do believe, help my unbelief." Jesus, on seeing a crowd rapidly gathering, rebuked the unclean spirit and said to it, "Mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." Shouting and throwing the boy into convulsions, it came out. He became like a corpse, which caused many to say, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand, raised him, and he stood up. When he entered the house, his disciples asked him in private, "Why could we not drive this spirit out?" He said to them, "This kind can only come out through prayer." The Gospel of the Lord.
May 16th, Monday of the 7th week in Ordinary Time. The first reading comes from the letter of James, chapter 3, verses 13 to 18. James asks the question, who is wise and understanding? And the response is the one who's living in humility, the one who's filled with wisdom. That ambition and jealousy are not from the Spirit. They bring division, they bring disorder. Rather, wisdom is peaceable, gentle, compliant, full of mercy. That we can tell whether a person is truly Spirit-filled by the way the person acts. If the person is out for himself, wants to build up a good reputation, then we should be wondering whether that is really the Spirit. But if the person is a true servant, one whose first call is to be merciful, is to be compassionate, then we can know that the Spirit is acting in that person. The Gospel is from Mark 9:14 to 29. This is right after the Transfiguration, and Peter, James, and John come down with Jesus from the mountain, and they encounter a man who runs up to them and says that he brought his son, who seems to be suffering from epilepsy, and the disciples were not able to heal him. Jesus asks the man if he has faith. The man's response is very interesting. I have faith, help what little faith I have. Notice, the man recognizes that his faith is not perfect, but he will believe in as much as he can. And that's all God asks of us. Very few of us have perfect faith where we never have doubts. All God asks us to do is to respond to the gift of faith that we've received, but not everybody has received the same gift. We can only respond in as much as we can respond, and therefore God only expects us to do that which we can do. Jesus chases the spirit out of him, and then the disciples ask, why weren't we able to do anything? Jesus responds, this kind can only come out through prayer. Notice, Jesus is saying to the disciples that they were trying to exorcise this demon with their own power, as opposed to praying, relying on the power of God. That was one of the difficulties of the disciples. Following Jesus, they thought they were being made into wonder workers. They could perform miracles in their own name. But it's only in their relationship with Jesus that they can do anything. And is this boy really possessed? We would call what the boy was suffering from epilepsy. In the days of Jesus, any sort of illness, especially one as troubling as epilepsy, would be interpreted as demonic possession. Today we would not call it that. It was simply a way of understanding what was going on in those days. I'm not saying that people aren't possessed by demons, but in the days of Jesus, almost anything was considered demonic possession. We restrict that definition a lot more in our present days. And may God bless us.